Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending upon where you are in the world, and welcome to today's Design News webinar. Aluminum T-slot framing, availability and delivery problems solved. Sponsored by Bonnell Aluminum and broadcast by Informa. I'm Chris Keach, and I'll be your moderator today. We have just a few brief announcements before we begin. First, this webinar is designed to be interactive. The dock of widgets at the bottom of your screen will allow you to learn about today's speakers, download resources, share this webinar via social media outlets, and participate in our Q&A session that takes place at the end of our presentation. The slides will advance automatically throughout the event, and you may also download a copy of the slides by clicking on the Resources widget at the bottom of your screen. Towards the end of our webinar, we will ask you to complete our survey found on the right-hand side of your screen. Please take a moment to fill this out before leaving us today, as your feedback will provide us with valuable information on how we can improve future events. And lastly, if you're experiencing any technical problems, please click on the Help widget found at the bottom of your screen, or you can type your issue into the Q&A text area, and we will be glad to offer one-on-one assistance. And now, on to the presentation. Aluminum T-slot framing, availability and delivery problems solved. Discussing today's topic are Spencer Nance, marketing generalist, Bonnell Aluminum, and joining him today is Jason Church, Western Regional Sales Manager, Bonnell Aluminum. To learn more about our speakers, please visit the Bios widget. It's with great pleasure that I now turn things over to Spencer to begin. Spencer, take it away.
Great. Thank you very much, Chris. And welcome everybody to our webinar today. We are appreciative for all those who are attending today, and we look forward to any feedback, any questions that you have throughout the presentation. Real quick, before we jump into it, I want to kind of give you a brief overview of some of the things that we'll be talking about today. Hopefully some insights that you can learn today, take away from who Bonnell is, what product T-slots can do for you, the key success that we have as a vertical integrator, and what vertical integration means in the manufacturing industry or industrial, and how it can really serve you. So I myself, Spencer, I've been with Bonnell for just about 13 years, excuse me. I spent my time mostly all in T-slots as well. It's been a product that I am very fond of. I love dearly. It's been something that's been useful in many aspects of the job, even personal DIY type stuff. So very intricate, very enjoyable product to work with. So I'm excited to share some of that with you today. So moving into that, we're going to jump into a poll, because I want to get to know a little more about some of the things that have happened, especially over the last couple of years, just with the service industry disruptions. Again, we want to talk a little bit about vertical integration, maybe learn a little more about what that can do. So I will kick this over to Chris to go over our first poll of the day.
All right, thank you, sir. And we have 3 polling questions for you today. To participate in our polls, all we'd like you to do is go ahead and click on the radio button next to the answer that's appropriate for you, and then click the submit button. So our first polling question for you: during the last 2 years, have you experienced any type of service disruption? And if so, what types of disruptions did you experience? Your answers here could be quality, poor communication, increased prices, extended lead times, unpredictability, or no disruption. Again, click on the radio button next to the answer that's appropriate for you, and we will take a look at those results here in a moment. Also, as a reminder, if you'd like to ask a question, you can do so at any time by clicking on the Q&A icon at the bottom of your screen, typing a question in, and then clicking the submit button, and we'll get to as many of those as we can during our Q&A. So let's go ahead now and take a look at what our results are. It looks like about 5 to 6% said quality, and another 11% said increased prices. 66% said extended lead times, and unpredictability was about also 11%. And no disruption came in around 6% as well. So your thoughts, Spencer, on our first polling question?
Yeah, it's always very interesting to see the kind of disruptions or any service type of issues that anybody that's been experiencing, whether that's a current customer of ours or someone who's new to our product line. As we all know, supply issues that have happened over the last couple of years. So while we do hate to see extended lead times, we understand that's a very common thing in the industrial manufacturing world. A lot of supply chain disruption, which causes manufacturers to slow down, not have the proper material to provide to their customers. So it's very, very insightful. So I appreciate everybody who took the time to fill out those radio buttons. But we will move on from here. So our first topic of conversation here is, most of you probably understand a lot about vertical integration. For those who don't, we still want to take the time to go over this and how big of a benefit it is to manufacturing industry, especially in today's age where there are so many individual companies out there, suppliers, vendors, just the turmoil that it can cause with communication channels or whatever it may be. But the whole purpose, the primary objective of integration, of that vertical integration, is to gain more control over that supply chain or the manufacturing process. It's very key. When that is performed correctly, a lot of the times you can see cut back on lead times, especially for the lower cost. One big thing as well is that the lower reliance on external parties that you will see from that, not having to deal with, like I had mentioned before, the communication channels, making sure different suppliers or vendors are on the same page as you are, or the process of the product that you need. That is extremely important for that. Another big benefit to the vertical integration is one that I like to think of too, is that you're not necessarily at the mercy of the suppliers. A lot of suppliers can have kind of an advantage over you with that. They're the ones controlling everything from the top down. So if you don't have that communication, quality, whatever it may be, that can ultimately affect your end product and what you're trying to service to your users, which, as we know, can cause a lot of disruption and a lot of issues, which in turn does not necessarily give you the best image to your industry or to your users. So another thing, depending on the integration of a manufacturer or supplier, depending how deep that vertical integration goes, a lot of the times these companies can have greater insights into the market. So you, as a user or a buyer, whatever it may be, when you work with these companies that have that vertical integration, the deeper it goes, the more understanding they will have of your process. The more you're able to explain it to them, to teach them about your product, the more that they can give to you and what they can do to make your life a little easier, to make your job easier, whatever it may be. Very, very key, very integral to all of the process, to your success as well. And that's one of the main things that vertical integration does, is it's key, and it hones in on your success along with that manufacturers as well. So some other key benefits to that vertical integration, this was a question that we saw on the poll, was the predictability of this as well. And that's something that very key, as you can see there. The control part of it that we mentioned from start to finish, and especially with a lot of the issues that we've seen, supply chains, whether that be back from the start of COVID even to recent, when you have the organization can be better prepared to deal with any type of these disruptions, from the lack of receiving whatever the raw material may be, or machining, other type of industrial work on that product, whatever it may be. Say that's less likely that you're going to deal with those disruptions because they are built from within. One of the other key things to the predictability aspect of this is when you own or you control these entities of that supply chain, depending on how deep you are, that risk is reduced as well. So you are not going to be on hold for your product as well. When you work with that manufacturer, whatever that industrial supply chain is, you know what they say is what you're going to get. That reliability is really what is going to retain your customers, and they really understand how important that is. So on top of that predictability measure, another key one is the quality assurance. I did see that this was maybe lower on the first poll, but again, this is still something that is very valuable that we have seen also, especially with the vertical integration. When you have multiple hands in the cookie jar there, quality can be very disruptive. You may not always get what you want, especially as people are rushing to get material in. One thing that we've seen in the market as well with others is quality may be overlooked for the reasons of maybe they're behind on lead times, which was a big issue, or whatever it may be. Sometimes they can rush these processes, and ultimately it leaves you with quality that may not be sufficient for your customers, your end users, whatever it may be. And it fills or it extends those gaps that you already have because of the results given to you. So when that vertical integrator is set up properly from the beginning of the process, they are able to inspect those. They have the process put in place for quality inspections, machining, all of that put in place to know that you're going to get the best of the process you can get. So some of the other benefits to that quality assurance is it improves the production efficiency. So the more that a company focuses on that quality aspect of it, the greater they get to know your product. They can look for those aspects of it that are going to ensure that you are getting the best process time, lead time, cost, whatever it may be. So it improves that efficiency. The cost efficiency as well, it tends to go down as they perform and understand better. And the key one there is the trust. Nothing is more important than when you have the trust of who you are working with, your manufacturer, and even down to your end user. When you have that trust of quality, communication, whatever it may be, it's always going to be what encourages and what builds growth for the future. And it creates that better work environment for your individuals in the manufacturing, and also for those who are working for you, putting together your products for your customers as well. Moving on here past the quality part of this is another big one, and that is the competitive advantage that vertical integration has. This is a key one, especially in a lot of manufacturing industries. The deeper that vertical integration goes, the better edge that you can have on the industry or other type of competitors that you have. It's one source you work with, and they will hear you. So in this case, and maybe relating to TSLOTS a little bit, the closer that you work with that manufacturer, the more you get to understand what they can do. So you're not limited to what you may see or what they first offer you. There's always an extension past that with that vertical integration. So you can understand more of their processes, where they come from, what else you can do to integrate your products. And when you do that, and when you partner with one of those manufacturers, as you can see from that bullet point here, that adds additional value into the future. That means they are committed to you. Usually when you have a business that's vertically integrated, they seek that sustainable competitive advantage in their market. They're not looking for the one quick hit just to gain profits. That means they're in it for the long haul. They're investing in their future. They're investing in their products, which in turn means they're investing for you. They want to see you succeed, which means they will have more additions in the future to add to your product, to extend whatever you may be, to the possibility of lowering cost. There's just a lot that can be done there. It's all that value add for the future. So with all of that, so limited lead times, the predictability aspect, competitive advantage, the one thing that you get out of all of that is the stability. When I first thought of the stability aspect, a lot of the times, and maybe that might just be me, stability can maybe come off as negative, especially with somebody who's trying to innovate and grow. You think of stability as maybe being a bit complacent, but that's not always the case. With vertical integration, stability is actually a key of growth. It leads to changes. It leads to product updates, manufacturing updates, machining equipment. When they are stable, they know what they're doing. It releases that momentum for yourself as a business and really pushes and moves you forward. And that is what vertical integration is all about. So as I talk about vertical integration, I want to wrap that into kind of who we are as Bonnell. What is TSLOTS as that? Oh, excuse me. And before we do that, though, I do want to jump into this poll, the second poll of our day. So I will push that over to Chris, and after that, we will jump into kind of more of who Bonnell is and what TSLOTS can do for you.
All right, thank you, Spencer. This is the second of our three polling questions for you. Again, to respond to our poll, just go ahead and click on the radio button next to the answer that's appropriate for you, and then click the submit button. And our question for you here, what key benefits do you look for in selecting a manufacturer to work with? Is it predictability, stability, quality control, price, brand name, or innovation? And just click on the button next to the answer that's appropriate for you. Click the submit button, and we'll take a look at those results here momentarily. And again, if you'd like to ask a question, you can click on the Q&A icon at any time, type your question in, and then click the submit button, and we'll get to as many of your questions during our Q&A session here shortly as is possible. We'll give you just a few more moments to input an answer, and then we'll take a look at those results. Okay, so let's take a look now and see what we have. Looks like about 14% said predictability, about 25% stability. Quality control came in around 25%. Price about 18%. No one selected brand name, and innovation was about 18%. So Spencer, your thoughts on our second polling question?
I love to see that it's so even across the board. It means people are doing their research, their homework. They understand what they want. Stability, quality control. I mean, all of these answers really do lead into each other or have some type of connection, but it's great to see that the percentages are pretty even across the board here. So again, thank you everybody who submitted that. So with a little bit of this information too, I am going to talk about some of these key benefits here with who Bonnell is. So for those of you who are not familiar with who Bonnell is, we are one of the largest aluminum extruders in the United States. We have been in business and working in this type of realm for just nearly 7 decades, so 65 years of experience. I mean, that's from the start of just pushing aluminum logs out, cutting it and sending them off, to where we are today, where we've taken the time to innovate. We've pivoted through the years to understand our customers' needs, what we need to do for them to succeed. So with those innovations, we've jumped into automotive markets, building and constructions, and we've invested in ourselves to make sure we are set up for you and set up for the future to make sure we can take care of who you are. One of those big innovations is a product line that is called TSLOTS. Very unique. You've probably seen this around before. I'll throw this in here just because of my love for soccer. If those of you have watched any bit of the World Cup that is going on live right now, all the stadiums have been fitted with some type of T-slotted type material for all of the benches or the refereeing areas. So if you haven't noticed that, next time you turn the TV on, or if you get a chance to watch one of those, check that out. You will notice that this type of material that you're seeing in the pictures here is all around. So T-slots is it's a very common, very noticeable product out there, but it's very unique in what it does. So growing up, those of you ever played with like Connect sets or Legos, anything like that, or even the Erector sets, this is pretty much a system or a product that is almost identical to those. It's allowed for complete customization. It can bring the inner child out of you to enjoy that type of thing for those who love putting and piecing things together. The unique system, that T-shaped channel, it allows you to butt up or combine different types of profiles together to pretty much make anything that you can think of. The versatility is just about endless with that. It's a great alternative to steel, where no welding is necessary. If you look to reconfigure or recycle some of this material, you simply just take it apart, move on, build something else, and you get to reuse it. So it's very useful, very unique. It's used in all industries, from customized guardings, from internal manufacturers, the medical world, down to the individuals who use DIY. So someone building a garage shelf in their home, or building a sun garden out in their backyard, whatever it may be. The uniqueness of the T-slots is endless. You can do just about anything with that. So that's one of the things that makes T-slots unique, is everything that we've talked about right now. Is T-slots is built from within. We are vertically integrated. There are other different type of extruders out there who make these type of profiles, but they are not selling them directly to an open market. We are the only extruder out there who carries this line, who shelves it, who helps people design whatever it may be, put their projects together from start to finish. And Jason will talk a little bit more about that in the meantime. But TSLOTS is built from within. We are here to serve you and everything that comes with that. So I will turn the rest over to Jason at this point. He's going to talk a little bit more about the vertical integrations and what TSLOTS can provide with that setup and being built from within in Bonnell Aluminum.
All right, thank you, Spencer. So, as he said, my name is Jason Church. I'm the Regional Sales Manager for the West. Huge fan of TSLOTS and really excited to talk about, vertical integration in TSLOTS and how that's a benefit. Spencer really went into depth on what vertical integration is and how that's a benefit to end customers, to really anybody that's receiving some sort of manufactured product. So as he spoke about what TSLOTS is and what we do, I'm here to really bring to light and really get you thinking, get those gears moving about what you're looking for in a T-slotted manufacturer, for your business or for your end use. So one thing he mentioned is Bonnell Aluminum. We are a massive extrusion company, and with that we have tons and tons of aluminum presses. So if you are familiar with the way aluminum is extruded, right now we have 2 different locations that are able to extrude and manufacture this material in-house, which means we're extruding it, we are anodizing it, and we are stocking it on our shelves and doing all the fabrication in-house. TSLOTS itself is a stocked product line, so the material is kept on the shelves where we can pull it off and can cut and fabricate it to your exact needs. But it also is a lot more than that. So TSLOTS can really provide more to you. Because we are the extruder, we are able to expand our line consistently and quickly, which means that we're constantly adding new profiles, new components. One of the amazing things about us is, if you come to us and say, hey, I really like this shape that I've seen, I'd really like to get it from you. Is this something that you could add? We can sit down and actually bring in a new die and extrude that material for you, and then that leads into, open shapes. And we call open shapes, generally these are very simple, your L channels, your flat stocks, your U channel. These are something that are generally an afterthought a lot of times when you're designing something. But generally you have to go to a third party, somebody that is buying those from an extruder and then stocking them in-house, where you, the end user, are buying it from them. Whereas from TSLOTS, you can get all your T-slot needs as well as these open shapes in stock and ready to go. What's a huge benefit towards this, and what I've seen a lot, is if you're wanting to make your own brackets, make your own gussets, you can buy the long profile from us, and you can actually fabricate that in-house on your own, which is extremely useful. So, and then last but not least, and one of my most exciting things is if you have a custom T-slot profile, let us make it for you. Because we are the extruder, that means that we can sit down and actually, take your design or your idea and create a profile for it. In the manufacturing and the automotive and automation sector, there are specialty needs of certain shapes out there that are not in a catalog, and that's completely fine by us. Let us help you, completely from the ground up build what you are looking for. So, once again, TSLOTS can provide way more than just a catalog full of parts, and that's really, that comes down to our vertical integration. Being able to extrude and anodize and fabricate our own material in-house, it's just, it's amazing out there. So one thing I wanted to talk about that, maybe some of you know about, or a lot of you may not know, but historically TSLOTS has really been centered around our plant in Utah. That's where all the material was extruded, anodized, and fabricated for years. We are now over 20 years old, and 99% of that material always came out of Utah. But Bonnell really saw the importance of this product line and you as the end customer, and decided that it was time to expand. And so our sister plant, which is found out in Niles, Michigan, it was deemed necessary that they were to add a second TSLOTS location. And what the reasoning behind this is to really better service our East and Midwest customers, because we know that you guys out there are important, and ordering from Utah can be kind of a challenge sometimes, just with the distance and the shipping costs. So as of right now, our Niles, Michigan plant, that very first picture you see there, we have bought a dedicated TSLOTS building that houses all of our TSLOTS material. They are fully operational as of right now. They are ready to fabricate, kit, and assemble all of your needs, which means that they are capable of basically doing everything that Clearfield is doing right now. So this is a huge endeavor, and really something that we're going to see is going to be benefiting, you guys as the customers, because ultimately that's what we really care about is how quickly and how better we can service you guys. So with that second location now, we basically have a nationwide presence. So if you look at that map there, you can see the general locations of where each of the TSLOTS plants are. So as of right now, we are the only TSLOTS supplier that has that multiple locations, that is doing everything in-house. Now, our Niles location does have their own aluminum presses and anodizing itself. So it's not like Clearfield is shipping stuff to Niles and then they're cutting it and fabricating it there. We are both doing the exact same things in-house, which is huge for us. And so from my end, how does that benefit you guys, the customers? And really the big ones is faster lead times. What that's going to do is, instead of everything coming out of one plant, we're now going to be able to split that up, which means that we're going to have more capacity and more time to be able to work on projects for you guys. Better quality, really that means that, because we are vertically integrated, we're going to be providing a better product for you. Lower shipping costs. This is a huge one. So when COVID first hit, the price of diesel shot up. There was a shortage of truck drivers. LTL and small package shipping, doubled in price. And a lot of you, the shipping cost matters. We're talking about pennies. We're talking about hundreds of dollars a lot of times. And so being able to ship, let's say on the East Coast, is going to be huge to have it come out of Niles, because you're not having to travel, 3/4 across the U.S. to be able to get your material. So that's going to lower your shipping costs, and it's going to lower your shipping time as well. So instead of waiting sometimes 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you're going to be able to get something possibly in days. And then something that a lot of people don't necessarily think about, but it is something that happens, is this is going to lower that freight damage, that you sometimes see. Now, it may not happen all the time, but we all know the farther that you're shipping something, the more likely it is to get damaged. And, so that's really going to benefit those Midwest and East Coast customers, because that means that you guys aren't going to have to worry about getting a shipment in and having it all banged up, because we all know that those dang truck drivers, they sometimes don't really care, and as they offload it from each hub to each hub, there's more likely for it to get dinged up and destroyed. So this is going to be huge as far as making sure that you, the end customer, are going to be receiving a good quality product. So compatibility, and this is something that comes up quite often, but TSLOTS, what are you guys, your own thing? How do you work out in the TSLOTted market? And that's a really good question. And the answer simply is we're compatible with most of the big TSLOTted brands out there. You're not going to notice a whole lot of a difference. And what this is going to be is a huge benefit to you guys. So if you have an existing build, let's say you have a frame already done up and you want to add on to it, you have a new cell or you want to put some more guarding up, you can order TSLOTS and put it on, and it's going to fit exactly the same. It's going to use all the exact same hardware, and it's going to basically seamlessly be implemented into your existing build, which is going to be huge for you. Because there are some brands out there that, they are very different, which means that you would unfortunately have to junk your whole, existing build, or you would have to, it may be too much to switch over. So another thing too is if you do have existing frames in-house, if something is damaged or you need to replace it, you can use T-slots for it. And then the big thing too is if you're familiar with these other brands or T-slotted profiles, using T-slots is going to feel right at home to you. The way we call things, 15-15 light, 40-40 metric, it's all the same, which means that we're going to be speaking the exact same language. There's really going to be no learning curve except for just new part numbers. And another thing to really talk about is if you guys have projects right now where you're interested in trying out T-slots, send it to us. You don't even have to put in the time and effort of switching everything over. Let us do that. We are the specialists on conversions. So make sure that we get to take a look at that for you and see if T-slots is really going to be a good fit to you. So design. So this is something that gets brought up a lot as well. Is you're designing with some sort of T-slotted product. You want to get CAD models or whatever. So T-slots is actually partnered with Trace Parts. And what that is it's a 3D CAD modeling library. So it's a website you go to, you type in a part number or a brand, and you can download basically an entire library of all the components. And so T-slots has put our entire library onto this website. And what that's going to do for you is be able to go in and download those step files, those DWGs, these STLs. And what's crazy enough is there's over 40 different file formats that you can actually download. Spencer and I found the other day, not sure if you'd really want to, but you could totally download our stuff as a GIF. So if you wanted to make T-slot memes or whatever, you can totally do that. So where you can find this is if you go on the website, which is tslots.com, there is a tab called Tech Info and Resources. So go ahead and click on that, and it'll take you right to the Trace Parts website onto the T-slots folder. Another thing, if you wanted to just go straight to Trace Parts, you can totally do that. You just need to search T-slots by Bonnell Aluminum, and we'll pop right up. And it's really simple. It's broken down into profiles, components, fasteners, and if there's anything missing, please let us know. But that should be a pretty full catalog of everything that we offer. So huge shout out to Trace Parts for helping us get that going. So, overall, just to wrap everything up is, T-slots, like I said, from being vertically integrated, having our own aluminum presses, to being able to anodize, cut, fabricate, and stock in-house for you as the end customer. So now hopefully we've gained a little bit of interest on, building that partnership of, having a vertically integrated manufacturer, and helping to build either you as an end customer or your business, to be reliable. Where can I get T-slots? Where do we go from here? So the answer is that T-slots, we do sell through distribution. So, reach out to your local distributor with your project. So where you can find that is on the website, tslots.com. There's a tab called Find a Distributor. You can look up your state, and it'll pop out who your local contacts are. And really, the distributors are going to be the specialists here. I've spent years going out and building up their team of engineers and designers and people to better serve you as an end customer. Unfortunately, I'm one person and I'm only in one location, so I'm not going to be able to go out and visit and answer all your questions, but our distributors are going to be able to do that. You can stop in and visit them and sit down, whether you're building a demo kit to try out T-slots, or you've got a really in-depth print or model that you want to go ahead and get quoted out. They do it all. And with that, I don't know if there's any integrators or machine builders or those sorts on this webinar, but these distributors, they offer more than just T-slots. And I'd love to be selfish and say that I would love that they only ever talked about T-slots, but the fact of the matter is that there's a lot of other stuff that's needed out there when you do, let's say, a robotic cell or, some sort of integration project. So they are going to be able to give you a full package deal, not of just T-slots, but pneumatic parts, hydraulic parts, robots, maybe mobile robots at the same time. So go ahead and visit the website to find your local distributor and reach out, and they will get you taken care of. So other than that, that is the end of my part. So we have one last poll question to finish this off. So I will go ahead and let Chris take over for that.
All right, thank you, Jason, for a great presentation. We're going to have one more polling question for you here. This is our third and final polling question. So what do you find appealing or intriguing about TSLOTS? Again, here you can click on the radio button next to the answer that's appropriate for you. And the answers here can be vertically integrated, nationwide presence, compatible with competition, custom shapes, and just go ahead and click on that radio button, and we'll take a look at those results momentarily. And also an ideal time, if you'd like to ask a question by clicking on the Q&A icon at the bottom of your screen, typing your question in, and then clicking the submit button. We'll get to as many of your questions as we can here in the time that we have left. If we don't get to your question today, someone will be getting back to you after the program is over. So we'll give you just a second here or two, and then we'll take a look at our results. Okay, let's take a look now and see what we have. Looks like about 16% said vertically integrated, 10% or 11% said nationwide presence, compatible with competition came in around 53%, and custom shapes was about 21%. So Jason, your thoughts on our third and final polling question?
So I find it's very interesting, what's most important is it's compatible with competition. And that's what I see as well, leading into our second poll question, where brand really didn't matter a whole lot to people. It was, they need consistent and, supply from their vendor. And, this just kind of, fills in the gaps of that, is that there's people out there that are using somebody right now, and, they're interested that if they can find somebody that's going to take care of them consistently, that's going to have good lead times, that's going to be, a good supplier, that's what really matters. So I find this super useful, so I appreciate everybody that participated in this, and I believe we'll let Chris take over from here.
All right, well, thank you, Jason, and thank you, Spencer, for a great presentation here. We're going to now move on to the Q&A, but before we do that, please direct your attention to our webinar survey available on the right-hand side of the presentation window. If you close the survey, you can reopen the widget by clicking on the icon at the bottom of your screen. Thank you in advance for filling out the feedback form. Your participation in the survey allows us to better serve you on programs in the future. So let's move on now to the question and answer portion of our event. Again, if you'd like to participate in our Q&A session, all you have to do is click on the Q&A icon at the bottom of your screen, type your question in, and then click the submit button. We'll get to as many of your questions as we can. If we don't get to your individual question today, again, someone will be getting back to you after the program is over. So let's go ahead and get started with some questions, and it looks like we've got several coming in. Our first one for you, we have a design based on Bosch 80/20. Will you and or your distributor be able to help with equivalent parts?
Okay, I'll go ahead and take this one, Spencer, if that's okay.
Yep.
So yes, that is an excellent question, and that's something that TSLOTS is built exactly for. So if you have, some designs based on those competitors, go ahead and reach out to a distributor and let them know, hey, we've got these. We'd like to go ahead and quote out TSLOTS and see, where we stand. They are very well suited for that. We actually have some tools that we're able to use where you can plug in different competitors' part numbers and it'll pop out with TSLOTS, so it makes the job a lot easier. So I would say that's awesome. Go ahead and send it in and let's take a look at it.
All right, thank you, Jason. Another question's come in asking, can you convert competitor quotes?
So that's pretty much right in line with that last question, and ultimately, yes, we've done our best to cross over any of our competitors, and we will continue to do so. So if you have any type of those quotes out there or existing frames, projects, whatever it may be, like Jason said, send it over to our distributors. Between our distributors and ourselves, we will help you cross those over to take any time away from you that you don't need to, or since you're not as familiar possibly with that product. So yes.
All right, thank you, Spencer. Another question came in asking, do you guys assemble the frames that you sell?
Yes, so the answer is yes. Both locations, both Clearfield and Niles, are fully set up to do assembly work. And what that means to you is you can send us a print or a model that has your frame already built and say, I want to get it in just like this. Because today's day and age, things take time, right? So, we like to say that we can do things, in an hour that you would take 4 hours to do. What that means is we're the specialists on this. Our people are made to build these frames, based on prints and models. So let us do that heavy lifting for you. All you have to do is order the material, and then it shows up on a pallet. You rip the plastic wrap off, and you can start using it immediately. So assembly is something that we are very, very well in tune for, and we love doing.
All right, thank you, Jason. Again, a reminder to our audience, if you'd like to ask a question, go ahead and click on the Q&A icon at the bottom of your screen. Type your question in, click the submit button. We'll get to as many as we can. If we can't get to your question today, someone will get back to you after the program is over. Our next question here, do I need CAD software to get a TSLOTS quote?
The answer to that is not necessarily, no. It is helpful, it is useful, especially if you're going to be designing a project. It's very useful, but with our new integration with Trace Parts, and we are in the process of building a new design software, that will eliminate the need of using any external downloadable software to get those parts. In the meantime, as long as you have a CAD file of a product or whatever you have, send it over and we can help get that quoted.
All right, thank you, sir. And this next one says, this is such a great way to distribute useful information to a larger audience. How often will you be having webinars?
I'll go ahead and take that one, Jason. So webinars are fairly new to us this year. This is our second webinar. So we do hope to continue these type of webinars. I don't know time frame or to what extent we will be doing those, but this is something that we felt is useful to share information. So we will consider and do what we can to bring more webinars here in the future.
All right, thank you, Spencer. And do you have custom matching capabilities?
Custom matching, machining capabilities?
Yeah, machining.
Yep. So we do actually.
Machining, yes.
That is TSLOTS' forte. So we do have a lot of catalog machining, your typical counterbores and through holes for all of the hardware and connection methods. But we are very well versed and well built to do custom machining as well. TSLOTS has spent a lot of time of expanding our CNCs and being able to properly quote out custom plates and brackets. So always if you're interested in TSLOTS doing some sort of custom work for you, send over that print and we will gladly take it. But yeah, I mean, both locations, like I said, have that capability. And we'll be able to take care of you.
All right, thank you, Jason. And another question is coming in asking, is there any training available regarding building and designing with TSLOTS?
We do not have a formal training system or project just yet. We do have other different type of training options available. If you do go to our website at tslots.com, you can request a demo kit. This is just a small box of components, extrusions that have directions on how to put this together. This is something that our distributors help in doing this with, so you can sit down with them one-on-one, put it together. They can teach you a little bit about the benefits of TSLOTS, how things are put together, just kind of the secrets of the trade of putting this together since we've had years of experience. So we don't have a formal training. That is something we're working on, but right now we have other options of training that you can find on our website.
All right, thank you, Spencer. And do you sell your material online or is it strictly through distribution?
So we do sell we do sell through distribution. We just revamped our website right now, and you can easily go through and look through all the different profiles and components. There is an add to cart option. We don't currently have the ability to do e-commerce, but what you can do is actually build up your bill of material or list of parts that you're looking for, and then you can actually send that to a distributor and say, here's everything I'm looking for. I'd like to look at using TSLOTS. So that's the way I would recommend ordering TSLOTS.
All right, thank you, sir. And can TSLOTS make a quote without a CAD file? How about with just a sketch?
Yes, that is something that we can do as well. CAD files are always preferred. They do make it a little easier, but even with sketches, as long as we have some basic understanding of products you want to use, fastening, and just some basic information on what that sketch needs to be done, we can still provide a quote just using that information. So yes.
All right, thank you, Spencer. Another question is coming asking, can you guys cut custom plastic panels?
Yes, the short answer is yes, we can. We offer a ton of different panel options right now that we stock in-house, but we do offer a CNC router that is able to custom cut out panels, no matter how weird or different the shape is. They can do countersinks. They can also do engraving. So if you wanted to put, let's say, your business's logo on a panel, we can easily do that. So simple answer is yes.
All right, we'll move on to another question here for you. Thank you, Jason. Our next one here, in terms of structural integrity, do you offer data sheets that compare with the competition, such as the Bosch 8020?
The short answer to that is yes. We do have basic information in our catalog currently, especially for our extrusion products. You can find those just by cracking open our catalog. All of that will be right there available. As we mentioned before, we are the extruder, so we have all the structural integrity of all of the alloys that we use, and anything past that point, even with after the anodizing factor of our extrusion. So we have all of that available. So if it's not something you find in the catalog, please reach out to us, excuse me, and we can get whatever information you are looking for.
All right, thank you, Spencer. We have another question here that's asking if you're located at all in Canada.
So we are not, as TSLOTS and Bonnell, located in Canada, but we do have Canadian distributor for TSLOTS. So I would go ahead and visit the website and look up. They have several locations across all of Canada, and they do stock and fabricate in-house as well. So that means that they have material that you can possibly stop by and pick up. So definitely go and check them out. I believe their name is called ProAx Technologies.
All right, thank you, Jason. Well, that looks like all the time that we have for questions for today. I'd like to thank Jason and Spencer for a great presentation and Q&A session. And for more information related to today's webinar, click on the green folder icon at the bottom of your screen. I'd like to thank Spencer and Jason. We appreciate your time and your expertise on today's topic. We'd also like to thank our sponsor, which is Bonnell Aluminum, as well as everyone in the audience. We appreciate your participation. Within the next 24 hours, you will receive a personalized follow-up email with details and a link to today's presentation on demand. Please feel free to invite your colleagues and peers who may not have been available to listen to today's event. And this webinar is copyright 2022 by Informa. The presentation materials are owned by or copyright by Informa Markets, and the individual speakers are solely responsible for their content and opinions. On behalf of our guests, Spencer Nance and Jason Church, I'm Chris Keach. Once again, we'd like to thank you for joining us, and we hope you have a great day.